do? We'll be staying in tonight, ladies and gentlemen, for a quite interesting look at house and home. So, let's see who's in the house, as my father likes to say. We have very much at home, Danny Baker.
Thank you.
Hitting a home run, Eddie Izzard. And a beautifully streamlined homing pigeon, Bill Bailey. And late with his homework again, my homeboy, Alan Davis. Well, should my house guests need to attract my attention, then they'll need to ring my chimes. Danny goes... and Eddie goes. And Bill goes. And Alan goes.
Hello? Only me?
Yes. So, eyes down, please, for a full house. Now, here's a lovely, homely picture of a modern family. But, of course, they're all rather concerned about their ecological footprint. Now, how can they legally reduce it the most? What is the biggest thing they can do?
Stop breathing.
Stop, not breathe, yes, and
Stop
defecating.
Are you using it?
No, we never use
It's so... Of course, yeah.
Hello?
Yeah.
What just happened?
Stop pooing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They
but...
don't poo or pee, ever.
But then they would die. I mean, legally, and if you like, biologically viably.
All right.
Biologically viably?
Yeah, and legally. I mean, it's not biologically...
How many more
Go vegetarian.
little things are you going to add on to this question?
Well, if...
OK, I'll trigger the screen.
Go on.
Don't drive, car.
No. That is not the biggest way they could help the environment, that particular family.
Insulating your home.
That would be reasonable, but getting rid of the car would be better.
Oh, I know.
Eat the dog.
Yes!
Yes!
Well, get rid of the dog.
Get rid of the dog.
The dog is by far and away the most ecologically...
Never turns the lights off, leaves the telly on, all that.
Keeping a dog is the equivalent to 2 Toyota Land Cruisers.
What?
Yeah.
Right.
Because of... Yeah, everyone in the audience is going, what? What? There's a simple reason.
I'm getting rid of both of my legs.
And that is the meat it eats. It's that simple.
Oh, yeah.
It seems a little unfair to put it on the dog. I eat meat too.
Yes, but you can't get rid of a human being without being illegal. That's why I said legally. You can get rid of a dog. It may be unkind, but that's the point of the question.
Can you do it, or you can just have it put down?
Oh, yeah. Legally, but not ethically.
Not ethically, no. Definitely not ethically. But no, it was there to surprise you. It is a shock. Even a cat. A cat is... One little cat is the equivalent to a Volkswagen Golf. And I'm including the manufacture of the car as well as the use of the car.
So, Stephen, just on a purely technical point.
Yes.
I've got 4 dogs, right?
Oh,
okay.
you bastard.
How many...
You're killing us all! Kill your dogs, Phil. You can hardly breathe.
I just want to know... I want to know what kind of fleet of vehicles I can now own. I'm really keen to know.
8 Land Cruisers.
8 Land Cruisers, yes!
You can have a lot of Land
Mad
Cruisers.
Max. I could go across desert.
Okay.
Quick.
If you had a bison, you could have a chieftain tank.
If they ate veg, is it better?
They are just born to eat meat, I feel.
Yeah.
No, our dogs, they eat rice. They like
They
rice.
will eat it, but not without meat.
You
They'll
leave
eat it grudgingly.
leave out a Battenberg and that will disappear instantly. The whole Inequality Street one Christmas, and they took all the wrappers off.
What?
Yeah, no, yes.
Did they
unwrap the sweet with the Alsatian.
Did they look through the cellophane ones and go, oh, look, it's all yellow?
That's how we caught them. Cellophane over their eyes.
Yeah.
Wow, man.
A little bit of green foil under the claws.
Yes.
Well, the thing is, I've got 4 dogs, a cat, 2 cats, birds, fish, rabbit, guinea pig. I could probably get like a jet or something.
You probably are using the equivalent of a jet. Yeah, it's quite serious. I'm afraid so.
Really?
Well, I can give you the figures. It takes 43 square metres of land to generate 1 kilogram of chicken, much more for other meats, but only 13 for a kilo of cereal, you see. So someone worked out how much it took, and it's 2 Land Cruisers per dog, much more for German Shepherds, for example, which eat a lot more. If you kept 2 hamsters That's the same energy footprint as a plasma television. And unfortunately, no, hamsters going around on a wheel will not power
the
plasma
plasma.
television.
Some kind of Dr. Dolittle death list you're reading.
How many pets have you got to get rid of to get a speedboat?
They're not Green Shield stamps, you know.
That's what they are in my mind now.
Nectar points.
One dolphin.
One dolphin.
Bless the dolphins. The ecological footprint is a measure of the amount of land needed to regenerate consumed resources and deal with the resultant waste. And current figures calculated by the United Nations are that we are using up 1.4 times more than the planet can restore.
The thing is,
Yes.
we evolved from this planet.
We did.
We are of this planet. We live on this planet. So can't we do what we like?
Yeah? Absolutely.
I mean, we are victims of our own evolution. I just happen to have come in at this point, and now I have to turn the lights out and can't see where I'm going when I go to bed.
But we appear to be the first creatures to have evolved to have a knowledge of what we are doing.
Consciousness, that's what
consciousness of
That's
it.
where we went wrong.
But
we also kill each other in huge quantities. That's a good thing. Maybe we should... we should pick ourselves up sometime.
Yeah.
Do you know last year, thousands of people were killed in wars. Thousands of people.
That's right. But that's the ecological paw print, and it's a bit of a shocker for us all. But having children is even more disastrous than having dogs.
Oh, I see.
Unless they start wars.
Unless
I think they're killing, but as long as it's killing Nazis, then we're kind of cool with that.
And Hitler had a dog. He did. Another thing.
And he killed it.
If you're going to have a war, use animals as weapons, and that'll get rid of a few, won't it? Yeah. If you've got a mortar, chuck a few guinea pigs down a mortar.
that's half a plasma screen already.
Exactly.
Yeah. Brilliant.
But the one thing about evolution, evolution has never developed an animal with a wheel.
No.
And you'd have thought by now, because they must have seen the car or the bike by now.
Yeah.
And evolution, if it's
I know.
going in it, no animal has a wheel.
The paw's better than the wheel.
A what?
A paw. It's much better than a wheel.
The Daleks pushed us. Daleks couldn't go upstairs.
That's
They can now, they fly.
We invented the wheel, and then, after the wheel, we had to invent
nature
the
given
road
us
and the
roads?
railway line and things to put the wheel on.
That's true.
Had nature given us roads, then a wheel might well have been...
Where
good
we're going, we
evolution.
don't need roads.
Yeah.
How come some fish fly and we don't?
Yes.
Yeah. So...
What about a Blu-ray player? What about a mouse or something?
I think a Blu-ray player would probably be a gerbil.
Gerbil, right.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. A gecko would be an iPad.
Nice!
Yeah.
Right. Oh, yes.
The most ecological of all would be the worm, because the worm eats us.
Yeah. And you cut it in two and you got four. No, two.
It's a conjoined worm, of course, you're talking about.
Two in two, you get four.
You're doing wonderfully. Thank you all very much. So there you are, yes. A medium-sized dog has a bigger ecological footprint than a large car, so draw your own conclusions. Now, many things can influence the value of a house, but what instantly reduces the value of a house in America by a third?
O.J. Simpson lived there.
Third.
Is it a tornado cutting it into thirds?
2/3 of it is on one side of the San Andreas fault.
I may say that what it is nonsense, but it's the kind of nonsense that Americans, unfortunately, quite often seem to believe in.
Yeah, like it's
It's a
whether or not
portal
it's
to
near to a drive-in.
Portal to hell.
Well, kind of.
It's buried on a graveyard.
Haunted is the right answer.
Haunted.
Haunted. Obviously, it won't be haunted because...
There's no such
What?
thing as ghosts.
No such thing as ghosts, exactly. But the point is, the stigma of haunting is enough. If it's merely mentioned or that people seem to believe that there are ghosts there, then it will
I
reduce...
told you about the haunting.
Yeah. Told you about the
There
ghosts.
should be ghosts everywhere. I mean, so many of them. There should be ghosts. There should be
course there
dinosaur
should.
ghosts. There should be cow ghosts.
Exactly.
Sheep ghosts.
Yes. I know, that's
Worm
the
ghosts.
point.
Yeah, dinosaur ghosts. That's
Yeah.
a brilliant idea.
Tons of them. There should be stromatolite ghosts, rocks that used to live in the old days.
Anything like that. Exactly.
The most plausible thing I ever heard on the ghost front is the idea it can be the atmospheric thing like a lightning bolt or something. It's because of a peculiarity in a magnetic force.
Yes,
and these
no, you're
people are
right.
unaware that they're ghosts, and that's why they appear to float or walk through doors, because as far as they're concerned, the door isn't there. And I can kind of I can kind of buy that.
This is
I can
lemon.
buy that
Get-
people's brains are affected by magnetic fields, and there are certain circumstances where it is quite common for people to feel chill and dread and to hallucinate and indeed to die. And this is quite common
what
in
a night
houses.
that was.
This is quite common. And that's carbon monoxide poisoning.
Oh.
From bad gas
Heaters,
boilers
yeah.
and so on. And it causes all those symptoms. But as for dead people coming back, no.
There should be dead cows. No one ever says.
Exactly.
And,
I so agree with
the
you. I'm with
meatpacking
you.
district in New York.
Yeah,
should be
why
tons
do you
of
draw
cows
the line?
there.
Suddenly it's only human
Well,
beings.
because if you're passing a field and you see a cow in it, you don't say, that's a ghost. You say, they by and large
Hang
don't
on.
turn up
If you
until
saw it in your
midnight.
house, you would.
Yeah, if you saw it in your house, but cows
Yeah.
aren't going to be in the house.
They are because they've been turned into
Houses are
houses
built on
in New
all
York.
kinds of pieces
tell you
of
something.
land.
Please, I'm not advocating for the
okay.
ghost party over here.
I love the idea of the ghost party. Whoa! All the other parties, they're just scaremongering. Very good.
Yeah, first appearance of the pipe. The pipe in high definition for the first
high
time.
def pipe.
What happened to pipes? That's where they went.
I love pipes.
Would you like to meet the last ever winner of the Pipe Smoker of the Year? How do you do?
My answer is going to be no.
Did you affect
Good
a
punch,
pipe for a
Michael.
period?
The first Q I was about to start as a series, and I was asked to do some press for it. And I left the house to go to wherever it was this interview was.
Yeah.
And I suddenly realised I had no cigarettes. And in those days I was a smoker. And I thought, oh, and I just saw a pipe and some tobacco. And I thought, oh, I'll grab that. Put it in my pocket.
You just saw pipe just lying there in the street.
No, in my house as I was leaving. And 2 days after the Independent article opened, I was asked if I would be the pipe smoker of the year. Did you accept it? I said, yes. Yes, absolutely.
It confers a kind of respectability, I think.
Well,
a
that was the-
trustworthiness.
I never think you can truly give directions without a pipe, and that's why I envy you that, Bill. So,
Yes.
No, really.
Oh, well, yeah.
Could you tell me what the station is? Oh, yeah.
What do you do?
And recognising a friend. Great prop for that.
I think.
Now, a good haunting can knock a third off the value of an American house. Describe the arrangements for moving a house in the 4th largest island in South America. Oh.
The 4th
Largest island in South America.
Look at your tats.
I know I've got them
Check out
covered
the-
up at the moment, but they are.
I can tell you the 3rd largest.
Go on then.
Island. Well, they just get it in a van and go. What the hell is the
The
4th?
4th largest island, well, if I tell you its name, is Chiloé.
There'll be a boat
Oh, that
involved.
helps. What?
There are the people of Chiloé, the 4th largest island. It's off the
All of
coast
them.
of Chile.
Obviously, they get a yak first.
That's a
2 yaks.
Actually, they call it a yunta, which is like a team of cattle. The point is, when they move house, they literally move house. If they have a haunting, for example, there's a bad spirit, rather than just leave the house and build a house somewhere else, they move the house thinking that the spirit will stay behind. And we can see, I think we've got VT,
This is the...
of them moving the house. Look, here they go. That's the yunta, and they've got logs, and there it goes.
And that's because there's a ghost inside.
There's a ghost inside.
What if the ghost can travel with them?
But apparently,
And they
apparently the ghost doesn't.
The ghost can, I'm still here. Oh, bugger, put it back.
Apparently it doesn't. Apparently the ghost gets left behind going, what happened?
You could shoot it.
Do the cows have any idea where they're going?
To
Or
them,
are all the houses just at one end of the field? Where the best grass
possibly.
That is an adventure movie, isn't it? That just looks
It's
fantastic.
Fitzcarraldo, isn't it?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Very Rit Small.
Oh, I think it's Die Hard with a cow.
Or,
is. The guy in the window's going, I want to stay here!
The person at the door's going, what the hell? They just came down because there was a rumbling.
It's quite a sight. Apparently tourists come from Chile to watch it. And the ceremony is called the Minga. And they have a great feast called the Coranto, and they dance a waltz. So, now, when the inhabitants of Chiloé Island have unwanted supernatural house guests, they just get their neighbours to pull the house with cattle, and the bemused spirit is left behind. Even a ghost might turn its nose up at this property, however. Have a look. Who on earth would live in a house like this?
Is it the British space program? We just build our way up.
And actually, you could see it just opening up like a telescope, couldn't you?
We'll get there eventually.
People who make wedding cakes.
That's pretty long.
Yeah, we predicted that one, I'm afraid. Yeah, it's deliberately unpleasant.
Living there.
To look at.
It's so someone, an obstreperous neighbour.
Kind of, yeah. It's a class of building known as a spite building, a spite house.
Okay.
It is built to annoy your neighbours deliberately or your local authority. Deliberately to absolutely madden.
Right.
This was built... I know, it looks
the
okay.
UK?
This is in Gaylordsville, Connecticut. Yes. It was built... Yes. It was built in 1964 by Jan Pol, who was a Polish immigrant. And he was annoyed because the state had taken away a young girl he had adopted. Yes, you're right to give me that look. And he was so upset that he built this ugly house. It doesn't look ugly, that's the odd
Apart
thing.
from the front door being
I've
up in
seen
the air.
worse.
I think it looks like a lighthouse.
It's an eyesore in the idyllic countryside to remind the world the little... And there's a plaque on it that says, she was kidnapped away from freedom to the godlessness of Hitlerism.
Oh,
Hitlerism. Hitlerism is the way he put it.
Oh, what,
because he regarded the state as being fascistic in
So he
its
built it
taking away of young girls from
himself.
He built it himself, yeah.
Well, I'd like to live in the top bit. For
Exactly.
Isn't it sweet? I think it's
Because
rather appealing.
the granddad in Chitty Bang Bang lives in.
Yes.
A block of flats. Yes, I'm not so keen on flat D.
I suppose over here we're used to it because of our follies, but I suppose in America
We have
don't.
follies, but
Yeah.
there's one in California called the Alameda Spite House, which came... that's actually built... That's a shallow house built in front of the house behind it to block out its light. So that really is spiteful.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
And people live in that? Or
Well, yeah, what happened was the city of Alameda took most of Charles Froling, who built this house, they took away most of his land to build a street, a kind of compulsory purchase. So he only had this 10-foot strip, so he built that house there. It's still occupied. And the neighbour in the house behind was on the side of the city council, which is why he built it there.
Block out all the light.
And then in Boston, there's one called the Skinny House, which we can probably see. And that's very narrow.
Terrific.
And the house next to it, there was a plot of land left to two brothers. And one of them was away, and the brother left behind built a huge house on the land, leaving only a tiny strip for his brother, thinking, ha-ha, I've got the whole lot. Then he was away, ha-ha, he'll never get it. But his brother built on his remaining bit this thin house to ruin his brother's life. Anyway, so we've got spite houses, but you've also got spite fences and spite walls, for example. So you can get some really nasty things happening amongst neighbours.
Yeah.
Where, like this, for example. This householder built a house.
She's taken a very dim view of it.
She's not happy. She built a house right on the borderline of someone else's land, and that person said, when you open your window, you're trespassing. When that window opens, so they decided to build a wall right on their part of it, so she couldn't even open the window. It's pretty
I just
tragic.
love if that's a studied face of utter contempt.
You won't be surprised to know, Bill, that's in the West Country, that's in Somerset.
Are you implying...
Feelings
somehow-
run deep.
That'll sort that'll burn. No, that's how they build them. That's the first go in the West Country. Right, I think we built it a bit close to the wall, Fred. Hang on, mate. Bring it back a bit.
They told me it'd be transparent bricks. But poor thing.
Well, it's
anyway.
easy. I just leant them up against the wall, seemed to go all right. But... Oh, you want to open it outside? Oh, right there, all right. Oh, from London, are you? All right. Ooh, you want fresh air, is it?
In China, they're called nail houses, in fact, and we've got a picture of a nail house. It's pretty extreme there. That's a development all around, and they've kept their own land, as you can see. Moving ever so on, spite houses and spite fences are built solely to annoy neighbours or frustrate planning regulations. Talking of unhappy homes, when an amoeba splits up, who gets the house?
Oh, I see.
Who gets the house?
Well, yes,
I thought the whole idea was that they split, they get two houses. It's some sort of perfect world of...
Do you know what sort of houses amoebas can build? I mean, they're single-celled, and it's just part of the amazing nature of all living creatures is that even incredibly simple ones, like an amoeba, you don't get much simpler, can actually build a protective house. They assemble grains of sand, and they make that protects them. Even to the spikes. Those spikes are deliberate. They can... Isn't it incredible?
Is that loads of grains of sand as they pull around?
Yeah, each one of those. It's about the size of a full stop on an average newspaper.
Wow.
Tiny.
That's insane.
That's
We've never heard that before.
That's a
No,
goal.
That is
brilliant.
actually quite interesting.
Hooray!
What's most interesting about it is that the other amoeba has got a camera.
You're right, that maybe is more astonishing even than the house. Now, what happens is the amoeba goes along as a single-celled organism, and the odd bit of sand it absorbs and saves up, and some it uses to build this house. And then when it's time to split, it takes away the house, and the half it leaves behind has got all the building materials left, so it can quickly build its own house. So that's how they split it when they have a split.
Why have we never heard of that?
I don't know, I suppose, really.
They never mentioned that at school.
It's
No, they
been
should,
a conspiracy
shouldn't
to keep this information from us.
Do estate agents come along and say, this desirable piece of sand with
in this
spikes
increasingly
on the
popular
outside.
part. But in terms of human splits and houses, in 2003 there was a Manhattan doctor who was so determined that his wife shouldn't get the house that he felt he had earned through his hard work that he blew it up with himself in it. That's a gesture, isn't it? Yeah. But the really nice man, what a prince this guy is, New York surgeon Richard Batista. When his lovely wife, she had kidney disease, and he donated one of his kidneys. And then a few years later, they divorced, and he demanded it back. But being a real gent, he said he'd take $1.5 million instead. But you'd be happy to know that the court ruled it was a gift, and therefore non.
Gift.
But what kind
What
of?
have you got me? What have you got me?
But do you know what happens when couples in America who split up? Do you know what happens when they have a dog? How the courts decide who gets the animal?
Oh, must be they take it outside and see which one it runs to.
Yes,
Do they?
it's a calling competition. But they have to be very careful about it. The animal is boarded overnight with a third party so that they don't have, they're not trained to come to them in special new ways. And there's a vet on hand because in the past people have cheated by rubbing their hand in sausage meat and things like that to attract the animal. Come to me, come to me! Like that.
Putting a massive electromagnet in the dog.
So there is a vet on hand to see fair play. There is somehow you feel a movie in this, I don't know. But anyway, eventually the one that the animal
Jennifer Aniston.
comes to, with Matthew McConaughey perhaps. What kinds of divorce have been available for the last 10, 12 years?
What kind of divorce?
New kinds, a totally new kind in the history of the planet.
What, do you mean divorce?
Yes, a kind that was never available, never
Animal
possible.
divorces?
No, they've always been possible when it just
Ghost
but this has
divorce.
technically never been possible till now.
Gay divorces?
No, virtual. I'm talking about online.
yeah.
I'm talking about Second
right.
Life, for example. A Cornish couple. We're in the West Country again. David Pollard.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
I know David Pollard. You have to be careful what you say about
I
him.
certainly will. And
He did my windows.
They-
So watch out.
They met online and married in the world of Second Life.
Oh, yeah.
Then they married for real. But then they subsequently got divorced also for real when Amy's online avatar, Laura Skye, caught David's online avatar, Dave Barmy, ho-ho, canoodling with another avatar. Right? It wasn't real, it was just...
People actually do this?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
This was a piece of bad luck for David's avatar because he had previously resisted the blandishments of an online private detective hired by Amy's avatar to operate a honey trap. Go figure.
They don't deserve broadband, these people, do they?
If it was dial-up, they wouldn't move very fast. so they hired a private eye avatar,
To trap. She wanted to trap him so she could prove that he'd been
all
unfaithful.
avatars.
And in fact,
all avatars. In real life, they were sitting there having sex while going...
Yeah, or just dully sitting at a computer, presumably.
Aye.
It's a bit strange,
These
isn't it?
aren't the blue avatars out the film, are they? These are...
No. An avatar is, he's...
Yes,
You
an
can
online
actually-
presence.
You can set yourself up as a private detective in this online world.
Yeah, or you can do anything in Second Life.
Could
It be-
they have not hired an online assassin to kill all
Yes.
the people?
We come on to this now. This is an RPG, a role-playing game called Maple Story.
An RPG is surely a rocket-propelled
rocket-propelled
grenade.
Yeah, it's also a role-playing game. I know, so, yeah. A Japanese
difficult
piano.
confusion.
That's right. I'm not inviting you on any mercenary missions.
Right, launch the RPG. Okay,
we go.
you wear that. You're spank. You're useless.
Now, a Japanese piano teacher was arrested in 2008 after murdering her virtual husband inside a role-playing game after his avatar divorced her avatar without telling her. She hacked into the game, deleted the avatar, which she'd spent a year training to battle monsters, and the last time online, she was looking at the possibility of a 5-year stretch in real jail for killing an avatar, because an avatar is a valuable commodity, especially in the Far East, in South Korea and Japan. People spend years giving them qualities, values, and alternative bank accounts and everything. And if you kill it or hack into it or do anything like or steal from it, it's considered genuine theft in those countries.
Does anyone
That's
do
mental, isn't it?
Oh, I'm afraid they do.
Yeah.
I'm afraid they do.
Do you do this?
I do so not do it. Honestly.
I'm going to go into it and I'm going to be...
Is it not a virtual court case or something? They're like a virtual
No, that's
prison.
the point. It's real. It's real. You can really be arrested for
They go to prison for 5 years.
Yeah.
For something that didn't exist.
But it does have value because these things can be traded, so they have value like anything. Like a baseball card, like a Ming teapot, anything. It has actual value. It has
Unless
real value.
your phone's not working.
Yeah, exactly. But then, you know, there are plenty of things that only have value according to the right conditions.
Oh, well, like what?
Like a concert ticket. If
Yes.
the concert's cancelled, it's no longer worth anything, but it could be worth a huge amount right up to the moment that the singer gets ill or something. So things have timelines.
Oh, I
things,
see, a time-sensitive...
Things can be
thing.
time sensitive, or in the case of a
Value.
virtual thing, it's electric current sensitive, but that's not too big a push.
Right.
Yeah?
Oh, right, I see.
I got all serious there, as if I actually believe in that.
I know, it does.
Sorry, but no, I was just making the point that that's why.
Do they do anything else with their lives? Do they have jobs and stuff?
Do they have ghosts?
They might well do.
Yes, avatar ghosts who aren't really there, but scare
Yeah.
the pants off you.
Well, like the Neutron.
Religions and things like that?
Who are these people?
Yeah.
What do they do? Are these people on directory inquiries? Is this what they're doing when they're not answering the phone? It's fine, I don't know, yeah.
It's particularly...
a monster!
It's particularly popular in the Far East, and as to be said, yeah. Who knows why? There must be cultural reasons.
Right.
But to us, with our normal lives, going to cricket matches...
Why do that when you could watch EastEnders?
Yeah.
Exactly. So, we're going back to that amoeba, if you remember. When Difflugia coronata, this particular amoeba, gets too big for its little house, it divides it in half. One half gets the house, the other half gets the building materials that it collected to build the new one. Amoebae make their houses out of grains of sand, but what kind of person builds a house out of straw?
Oh.
Not a pig.
Damn you. Damn you for the not word.
A pig!
Hey!
That was...
Masochism.
I'd already
You
said
just
it was.
wanted to be spanked.
I just wanted to hear the ooh sound. I've been making it myself, watching the programme. Woo, woo! Like some demented child.
What kind of person would build a house out of that?
A straw person would live in a straw house, like, for example, a scarecrow.
Who would actually live in
When they weren't working out in the field.
Somewhere where you can only get straw to make a house out of.
Yeah.
It has to be a person? Not a bird?
No, the fact is it's an incredibly good building material for houses.
Yeah.
There's almost nothing not to find remarkable about it. I was astonished by this as well. It's more fire resistant than conventional buildings. You'd think it was a fire hazard, but in fact the straw is so compacted it just won't burn. There's no air in it. It's structurally sound and strong. It's resistant to earthquakes. It's inhospitable to insects and rodents, more so than wood. So particularly in America, where houses are all wood frame, it's fantastically useful. Clean straw has no allergy issue. It's relatively cheap. It's a below zero carbon rating. It can be locally grown. Excellent insulation and soundproofing compared to conventional buildings. It's biodegradable at the end of the building's life. It's versatile, easy to work with. Necessary skills are easier to learn than bricklaying or any of the others.
It sounds great until it rains.
Yeah.
No, because that one on the right is that straw house. It's not left straw like that. You can clad it and plaster it in clapboard and everything else. So you would never know it was a straw house. But structurally...
you need a roof, though. You need a metal roof.
Yeah, the roof is not made. The whole thing isn't made of straw, but it's straw where otherwise you would be using concrete or wood.
Why are we just learning this?
I know, it's weird. Well, it's a 19th century Nebraskan invention, bale straw building. In Nebraska were huge grasslands, and they, as you rightly said, you'd start when it's the nearest material to you, and there aren't that many trees and things for wood, or it's a long distance.
So how big can the structures get, then?
Well, I think as big as any. I mean, you know, you can have two
Sky's the
floors.
Big question, can a wolf blow it down?
Yes.
It'll huff and it'll puff, and I think it will fail to blow it.
Yes, it will. If that wolf came back and saw that, it went, aha! Oh.
The wolf will be there going, this is not what's supposed to happen.
Yeah.
We've got a whole brick one to come yet.
The wolf will be going, I love what you've done.
It's
here.
great.
The early Nebraskan settlers even tried them with balls of tumbleweed compressed.
Oh, yeah.
They blew away.
I'm trying to think.
Yeah.
There was a house built of hay. It was a schoolhouse, in fact, in Nebraska, and it was eaten by a herd of cows. So that was bad. That was bad. But they wouldn't eat straw.
Well, this information does throw everything into chaos. A man of straw is supposed to be weakened, and now we're learning it's right up there with concrete.
Now the pigs have got a panic room anyway in the straw.
Straw is cheap, strong, warm, and fire and earthquake resistant, making an excellent choice of building material. Now, listen, the Queen is coming for tea. What should you do with your lavatory seat?
Cover it with money.
Wear it round your neck with pride.
No, I mean, there is a sort of rumour, a myth, an urban legend, a nonsense, a fallacy, that you have to get a new lavatory seat for the Queen's visit.
Yeah, super glue it.
Put cling film over the bowl.
Why? Ow!
See if she can play.
What?
I don't know why that pleases me so much, but it really does.
There was a rumour, but it's a nonsense, that she had to, or that she carried her own calfskin one around, calfskin lavatory seat.
Wow.
But apparently Prince Charles did have his own. We'd given one as a present, and he liked it, so he used to carry it around.
Back. You say that Charlie's got his own seat and he goes round with it?
No, he was given it as a present, and he used to take it around as a sort of joke.
As a joke?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. So, I mean, the people who deal with royalty, you know, they do say, well, of course.
I know. Well,
and they would have bolted it on with a trice, wouldn't they?
They probably would.
No one would take the joke. Oh, we've made 9 of them. I don't know what you do, how that works in a toilet. People powering the toilet.
Oh, hell.
Jet-powered toilets. Isn't it?
Yes.
Oh, no.
A royal flush.
Oh, yeah. You can be sucked out of a jet toilet.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you can get wedged in it.
Yeah.
You can create a vacuum.
If you create a vacuum, then the whole plane sucks in on itself.
Yeah, like Odd Job.
Yes.
Did he get...
Well, Goldfinger
In fact,
himself gets
Goldfinger himself goes
yeah.
out the window, doesn't he?
He doesn't.
But not out the loo.
Yeah.
Down the loo.
No, out of a hot. Isn't it funny how you just have to press the button and then you think, oh, I'll have to press it again because it didn't, and then whoa!
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stand well back.
Yeah.
Don't leave your tide dangling over.
And what is that statistic for? I don't
scary,
suppose you have it to hand, but people who are
Somebody making coffee.
Hit by
impaled by frozen spears of urine from overhead.
I'm not sure there's
Yeah, and then when you find
yeah.
them, they're just dead, and it looks like they've weed themselves, and no one...
In the head.
Perfect crime.
They've weed
You're
themselves in the
accurate
head.
enough. It's the perfect murder.
Someone's
Somehow.
weed on their head.
Yeah.
How cruel.
And somehow...
Do that to a dead
That's
person.
right.
They've actually weed through
They
their
managed to
head.
shit themselves in the brain as well.
Right, moving on.
How did they do that?
Yes, according to Buckingham Palace, the idea that the Queen requires a new lavatory seat is a complete myth, though you might want to run a damp cloth over the old one. So, homing in now on general ignorance. Figures on buzzers, please. When did slavery become a criminal offence in England? It
I
was
bet
not
it was
in the
one of
19th
these
century.
odd little new labour laws in about 1996, 7, 8.
What an odd law to outlaw slavery. Is political correctness gone mad?
I only mean odd in the sense that it's a bit late.
Yes, that's exactly right. It was 1807 when the slave
1807
trade
the
was
first
ended, and then finally in 1834 it was illegal anywhere in the British Empire to own a slave. It has never been illegal to have a slave in England until April 2010. I'm saying I could have had you as a slave
You mean
legally.
You mean this series I'm finally free?
Yes. Absolutely.
That's lovely. But you know what? I mean, one of those slaves who just goes back to the master. I don't know what to do. I work for you anyway, please.
I'll tell you one thing is that there are now estimated to be 27 million people held essentially in bondage, in slavery on this planet.
But the show will be over soon.
More,
You can go.
Yeah.
Right now?
More than there ever were in the days of cotton picking and so on.
27 million?
27 million.
In the world?
Yeah, that is the estimate. It's pretty grim problem still, slavery. The point is, it was never illegal in England because it was never recognised as a state of being.
Oh, I wish I'd known that.
There were laws against kidnapping and abduction and false imprisonment and sexual trafficking and all the other things that we might associate with slavery. But it was not illegal for one human to own another human, which it now is.
So this is a law this isn't one of those laws where they thought, oh, that needs clearing up. It's a loose end from history.
It kind of was. In 1967, there were a number of obsolete crimes that were taken care of. Barratry had been illegal right up to 1967, which is vexatious lawsuits.
Oh,
Barratry.
Building of
Vexatious.
Yeah, what they call a vexatious litigant. Somebody just keeps...
Dorothy Squires.
Yes.
Dorothy Squires, the singer Dorothy Squires, towards the end of her life, when she did have a mania, but she was probably the last person to be done for vexatious litigants.
And if you kept prosecuting someone for it, you'd be prosecuting them.
Yourself?
Yeah, well, it's crazy. Anyway, there's scolding. Scolding was a crime in 1966, but not in 1967.
With hot water, you mean?
No, not scalding. Scalding.
Oh.
Scolding!
That was a crime?
You! What time of the night do you call this, Eddie Izzard?
12.
Yes.
12:30 or something, I don't know.
Well, I'll give you a good scolding.
And that was illegal?
That was illegal.
Illegal?
Yeah.
And now it's legal?
Eavesdropping was illegal. Challenging someone to a fight was also illegal until 1967.
What about going round and round and round about more than 3 times?
It certainly wouldn't have been a medieval law, would it?
Well, I don't know. And if you had a horse and cart, you had a couple of hours spare.
On a medieval roundabout.
On a medieval roundabout.
Yes. Anyway, there you are. Due to a quirk of English law, it only became a criminal offence to keep a slave in the year 2010. So you've just missed your chance. Who lives in the tiniest houses in Europe?
Oh.
The Swiss, Germans, Belgians, French, Italians.
Whoa, yeah.
Slovenia?
Slovenia? Whoa, interesting. No.
OK.
Greece, Turkey,
Albania.
Albania,
No.
France.
Estonia, Latvia,
Iceland,
Lithuania.
England,
No.
Scotland,
Ireland.
Norway,
Czech Republic.
Wales,
Well,
Wales,
Pygmies.
Welsh.
Anglesey, the Welsh,
The Celts, the Welsh people.
Brittany,
Britain.
Great Britain.
Britain, UK.
We got that easy.
Our country, where we live. Yes, we have. In Britain, we have the smallest, by quite a way, it's rather embarrassing, easily the pokiest accommodation in Europe. Yeah.
Look at that
in
giant
terms
man.
of overall floor space, that's where we live. Isn't that tragic compared to America? Yeah, we have a miserly 76 square metres on average.
We're quite crammed together, aren't we?
We are, but even given that, our houses are jolly titchy, it seems.
Well, until you told us, we weren't that bothered, but now...
But where does the phrase "there isn't room to swing a cat" come from?
Cat swinging.
The nine tails when they're...
Cat of nine tails? No, it's not that, oddly enough. You'd think it was. It's the kind of thing people think is
It's
true.
when they used to flog people with an
The
actual
phrase
cat.
is older than
They
the cat
used
of
to-
nine tails.
actual
Well, no, they
cat.
wouldn't flog. They just literally, it means what it says. It's just a kind of common folk expression, meaning to swing a cat round. But the first use of cat of nine tails was 1695 in the English language.
Not the whole-
And at least 40 years earlier than that, there are references to not being able to swing a cat.
It's so disappointing when you find that out.
I think it's good.
I quite like the cat one. Do you know where the whole 9 yards comes from? The whole 9 yards?
The whole 9 yards. No, is it?
Alan's doing cat stuff.
It's an American sporting, isn't it?
Yeah, but how would you swing it, though? I mean, there's that way, but then there's also that way, up and down. Round and round.
Oh, when things by the tail, definitely, whatever.
Do you do it in a big loopy swing, or do you get some speed up?
It'd be nice to find a room where there was enough room to swing a
Just,
cat in.
yeah.
Just.
The cat's constantly just going, oh!
By a whisker.
By a whisker.
Literally.
The whole 9 yards, I believe, it's not a sporting thing. It's the
Guns.
Americans and the B-52s going over Nazi Germany, and they shot the whole 9 yards of bullets.
Ammo.
Oh, right, it's a 9 yard...
Yeah, because it's 10 yards in American football. Everyone thought it's something to do with American football.
Well, nice. If that's true,
I
there will
believe,
be points in it for Eddie.
I believe that's quite interesting.
Yes.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
All right, so yes, turns out the British build the meanest houses in Europe. Why don't any bleaches claim to kill 100% of all germs?
They get sued if you find a living germ left. They don't know.
No, it's not that.
It's because they don't kill 100%.
Because the 1% are good
They
germs?
probably do kill 100% of all germs. It's just almost impossible to prove.
But when
what's left behind is we just don't have the technology to inspect whether or not there are any germs left. The fact is, it's certainly you can prove 99.999 of germs are killed by bleach.
And logically, when you wipe up afterwards, you put more germs back in.
You often do.
Because everyone pees on their hands and then goes and gets mints. Looking like that when they do.
I save time. I just take the mints in the loo.
No, those are those things in the... You're right, you can't eat them.
I thought they were the mint.
Good. So, no bleach claims to kill 100% of germs because some microbial remnants left after the standard test are just too small to measure. They come pretty close, though. And so we end our weary journey homewards, and it's time to look at the house of cards that represents our scoring system. Home and Dry, in the lead, with an astonishing +3, Bill Bailey! Very well played. And just about keeping the home fires burning with -16, Eddie Izzard!
Second.
Yeah. And with home in sight at -17, Danny Baker.
Hit me by a minus point. Minus point, Craig. Yeah, that's how you do that. That's it.
And it's a terrible shock, but finally, home alone with -19, Alan Davis. So that's all from this homely edition of QI. So it's good night from Eddie, Danny, Bill and Alan and myself. And now it's time to bolt the door, drink up your cocoa, and then off to bed with a lot of you. But not before I snuggle down with this thought from a recent survey. 30 years ago, 65% of men on leaving their house kissed their wife goodbye. Today, 88% of men, when they leave their wife, have to kiss their house goodbye. Good night.
Inviting your ex-wife round for Christmas. Should be interesting. The Tudors follows in just a moment, and later at 10:40, I think it's safe to say that Nurse Jackie and Dr. Cooper aren't exactly getting on. Saturday night on BBC Two.